This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, hear what independent members of parliament have to say on government's budget communication. Plus, an Abaco farmer vents her frustrations over theft at our farm. And later on, the Democratic National Alliance gifts care packages to those in need.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. The two independent members of parliament are weighing in on the new budget. While there are many aspects they disagree with, they noted there are a number of initiatives to benefit the small man. Bethany McDormand reports.
Golden Isles Member of Parliament Vaughn Miller says his issue with the budget is that there aren't any new and visionary initiatives included. He said he would have expected government to invest more in agriculture.
I would have expected a greater expansion in the area of agriculture because of all the talk of food security during this pandemic. So I expected a lot more in the area of agriculture. I was looking forward to some things, greater expansion in the alternative energy area.
As for government's decision to borrow $1.3 billion, Miller said he expected as much following the devastating effects of Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, Centerville MP Reese Chipman says when borrowing such a large figure, the finance minister should have mentioned ownership.
However, I think when you talk about $1.3 billion, you also should mention at least once ownership. And I didn't hear the word ownership at all in his presentation today. And we need to hear ownership. We need to hear Bahamian ownership. We need to almost hear the word entitlement. You know, you cannot talk about $1.3 billion and don't speak about Bahamian ownership of the economy. You also should speak to good governance in that category. And also, I would have liked to hear the Bahamianization mentioned a little bit more.
Nevertheless, Chipman says some good news came out of this year's budget.
The temporary increase in the pension amount, the $50 monthly increase. Also the SOE, state-owned enterprises, there are some reforms there that I think is necessary that he spoke of. I also thought the paying of some arrears, I think $83 million in arrears was. So there are some encouraging points.
Miller agrees, noting that some may term the initiatives in the budget for the smaller man as election ploys.
For the small man, so to speak, there are some social initiatives in there that obviously presidents are thinking it's for, as an election woo, so to speak. But I anticipated that, expected that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
All right, thanks a lot, Bethany. Well, financial expert Gowan Bowe is suggesting that the government use existing funds to spur small business growth. Bowe said investing in small businesses is essential for economic growth.
If government knows that it is going to be spending, let's say just for ease of round numbers, $10 million on medical supplies, and it is looking at how does it spur new entrepreneurs in the medical supply industry. If they're going to contract for $10 million, as opposed to having a significant receivable where most businesses complain about cash flow, can government actually advance them $5 million? If they advance $5 million, that allows the purchase of inventory, the execution of the contract, and now the entrepreneur becomes responsible for managing his profit, not finding capital, not borrowing, but having, if you will, advanced sales.
The government, in its budget communication, said it would increase its $5 million budget to boost small businesses to $55 million this fiscal year. Bowe said the government must use money wisely.
We can look at how do we spur entrepreneurship, not necessarily by additional borrowing to lend money to them, but how do we look at the current spend the government has and use it in a more innovative way. Many businesses will say to you that a large part of their carrying costs or their overhead costs is really the cost of the receivable, because whilst they fully expect to be paid by government, it may not come for extended period of times. And so if they change that, then you're really shifting it and saying to the businesses and potential new businesses, you have to manage your delivery because I'm managing the spend.
Meantime, an Abaconian who is currently stuck in Canada says her farm back at home was hit by thieves. Our Jared Higgs tells us more.
Sharon Thompson was displaced after Hurricane Dorian pulverized Abaco, and she had to leave her farm behind. However, she says in her absence, thieves have struck.
A 10,000 BTU generator was gone, along with some generators I had for cooking.
Thompson says the thieves stole lots more than that from her South Abaco farm. She says she didn't report this incident because she isn't confident that police will solve the matter.
I didn't report it to the police because I'm here, and I don't think the police would be able to do anything. It didn't make sense reporting it because I've known of so many people in Abaco whose generators and stuff was stolen even while they were using it.
Thompson's specialty was fruit trees and other crops, but after the storm destroyed her home and her farm, she was forced to take a break. She says she believes she knows who may have been responsible for taking her things. She had this gracious message for them.
I forgive them. I forgive the persons who stole it, and I forgive the persons who receive it. Because most of the time, I'm sure that the persons receiving it know that it don't belong to the person they're buying it from. They're just looking for a deal. But I forgive them. I forgive them, and God bless them. And I pray and hope that they stop doing what they're doing. You know? Now, if you want to bring the things back, you can bring it back.
For now, Thompson says she wants to continue farming when she returns home, whenever that may be. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks a lot, Jared. Well, still to come, how social media is keeping small businesses afloat. So stay tuned. Next tonight, a self-employed baker says while COVID-19 has forced a lot of changes in the way she does business, she is still able to keep the business up and running during the global COVID-19 pandemic. Owner of Addiction Bakery, Betty Bethel, says a lot has changed since COVID-19 forced the Bahamian economy into a tailspin. But Bethel says she's been able to use social media to keep her homegrown business up and running.
Lately, it's been blooming over social media. So if you ever see the hashtag Addiction Bahamas or Addiction Bakery, that's me.
The 22-year-old business owner who gave out free food parcels this week to celebrate her birthday says with the COVID-19 curfew keeping more people at home, orders are remaining steady. However, she admitted there have been some rough patches.
People at home, they like to eat, so it's been blooming, but I've had my rough patches. Of course, it's not a consistent basis where you get clientele, but the clientele I do have, I rather quality than quantity right now. So I get to focus more and practice my craft a little bit more, so I'm happy.
When our news, the weekend edition comes back from the break. The Democratic National Alliance makes a donation of care packages. Welcome back to our news, the weekend edition. The Democratic National Alliance is working with the Department of Social Services to provide assistance to persons affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Party leader Arenthia Komolafe said the party felt compelled to assist during these hard times.
As a party, we're trying to do our part to be able to help, to contribute, and to alleviate some of the stress and the burden that persons have in the economy. We know a lot of persons lost their jobs, a lot of persons have been laid off, cash is very tight. So if persons can take their funds to be able to put it towards something else, maybe rent, maybe some bills inside the homes, then we got them some grocery items to be able to last them for a good amount of time, to be able to help with some of the situations that they're dealing with.
Persons in the Kemp Road, Bamboo Town, and Pinewood areas were the first to receive packages from the DNA party. According to Komolafe, the recipients were persons who wouldn't normally need assistance.
This is certainly going to be a medium to long-term project. We understand that this challenge is going to be with us for quite some time, so there are different phases. This phase that we're working with, we have gotten a list of persons that we can partner with the Department of Social Services to be able to assist some of the persons who have asked for assistance. And in a lot of cases, these are normally persons who wouldn't really need social services help, but because of the state of affairs in the economy. So this is definitely going to be a medium to long-term project with the party. I mean, we've always been doing this. We did it with Dorian, and as much as we can help, we try to help.
Meantime, the Grand Bahama Port Authority making a substantial donation towards the restoration of Sir Charles Hayward Library. The library was severely damaged last year due to flooding from Hurricane Dorian. The GBPA has pledged more than $250,000 to assist with mucking and gutting, renovation of the entire interior infrastructure, replacement of computer equipment, books, and other supplies. Executive Director of the library, Geneva Rutherford, expressed gratitude to the Port Authority, adding that they simply would not exist without them. The GBPA says it's pleased to work on ensuring restoration of the premises. In addition, the authority also provides ongoing building and ground maintenance and assists with the library's bills to ensure the facility can continue to serve the community. Up next, the local Neighborhood Watch wins an international award, so stay with us. The Jubilee Gardens Neighborhood Watch is celebrating its second-place win in the National USA Neighborhood Competition. The group found out it won second place for the Neighborhood of the Year 2020 via a virtual award ceremony. President of the Jubilee Gardens Neighborhood Watch Group, Debbie Lightburn, said she was thrilled when she found out they had come in second out of over 400 groups.
That's a big accomplishment for Jubilee Gardens Neighborhood Watch, being such a small community. But we worked very, very hard. Our team and the residents all came together and we worked very hard. We just learned the system and we made sure we fulfilled and followed all the requirements and the criteria that was enabling us to win this accomplishment here today.
The group was also a finalist for Best Neighborhood Newsletter. With so many communities being overrun by crime, National Security Minister Marvin Dame said the NNWC must see how it can duplicate its success in other communities to possibly help with crime.
There's a very, very close relationship that is being developed between the police and Neighborhood Watch. And as the new commissioner seeks to realign his divisional boundaries and to make his moves in terms of personnel, we're ensuring that that relationship is strengthened.
From the Sports Beat tonight, our Marcellus Hall continues his conversation with a Bahamian playing professional basketball in Greece.
Well, when last we met, we spoke with one of our basketball professionals, Zane Knowles, and got a little bit of insight into how he thinks in terms of his career and everything else around him. Tonight, we continue that discussion with Zane. Here's more on what he had to say.
The big thing with me, is what I carried me for life, and like I was saying, what really clicked was after school. I guess I watched this movie some time ago. It was my senior year in college, just the 300, the 300 movie. It's an old movie, but, it's the fight until the end, literally fight until the end, rather than you're on your feet than on your knees, And, that movie really hit me. If you have the mentality, it's hard to lose, in anything in life, off the court, on the basketball court. So I take that mentality and fight on the court. I know people see my style like, I understand I just like Dennis Rodman, but I always bring energy and, fight, do whatever it takes. Stuff that don't show up on the stat sheet.
What are your thoughts on the national program and how far do you think it can go?
We got so much talent. We hear it all the time. I'm kind of tired of hearing it. Like 2 summers ago, we got the best team we probably had. Buddy Hield, me, and all these other guys, Kadeem, we had a great team, man. And, some stuff is done different, from above. I feel like we could have got that win too. But we got so much potential, man, and the future is very bright. Some things just, have to be changed and not talk about, as far as, I guess the people, coaching us, and, we just got to take it serious, man, and before it's too late, because this is our best chance we have now. It's just this group of guys we have, this generation, this 10-year window. I think it's the best we can have for a while.
If somebody wants to go to school and further, what would be your advice to them? Yeah.
Stick to the process. Just stick to the process. Coming from this island, it's kind of hard. Used to be harder, back in the days, but now we got so much social media and stuff. So
my days, yeah.
They're gonna fund you, man. Social media and coaches always coming there because it ain't no secret. But like these coaches know, this island is like a jackpot, it's a landmine for talent, raw talent, and they're gonna find you. So it's always keep the hope. Like it sound cheesy, they just tell us, but you got to, but you have to do well in school to get to the next level. You have to have good grades. You have to. You got to understand that should be number one, because that's what's going to carry you. So try to have as high as GPA you can and not just the bare minimum, to get by.
And so there it is. Again, our thanks to Zane Knowles. Meanwhile, so much more to come. I'm Marcellus Hall for our news.
All right, thanks a lot, Marcellus. Well, that's a look at stories making news this evening, but stay tuned. Our weekend weather forecast is coming right up. And that's going to do it for us on a Saturday night. I'm Andrew Knowles. For all of us here at R News, thank you so much for watching. Let's remember to be safe and to look out for each other. Have a good night.